Hey, what's up, everybody? We are live. This is Phil from Zaid Comics, the creator, co-creator, and writer of Magic Cop, which is live now on Indiegogo in demand. And I'm just one half of the two best-looking brothers in all of comics. And today we're live again with another interview on a great Comicsgate creator. We are here with Mark Poulton, as you can tell by the title, talking about his newest book, SeaDog and Codename Killswitch. Thank you for joining me, Mark, for this awesome night.
Oh, thanks for having me, Phil. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Hey, Nella Possessed in the chat. What is up? Thank you for joining. We got some watchers already, which is really cool.
Nice.
And if you guys don't know who Mark is, he is the writer of Graveyard Shift, the highly successful Comicsgate book, Graveyard Shift Volume 1 and 2, which I backed the second one and got both of them with it. Didn't get a chance to back the first one, but it looks super cool. That was really successful. And don't forget, guys, he also was the writer of U.S. Assassin, which is another book that came with the second Graveyard Shift because they got past how much? How much did you? What was the goal for that?
Uh, it was $175,000.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I was so happy you guys got there because the cover. I remember seeing one of the covers for it well, the be closer to the beginning of this year, and it's the one with the like Grim Reaper and the hourglass.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I saw that and I saved it and put it in like my references because I'm like, this cover is
Uh-huh.
so cool. This is so inspirational. I need to keep this image. And then it turned out it was for that. So I'm like, oh man, we need to get to 175 so everyone could get that.
Oh, thank you. A little backstory on that cover. It was
Mhm.
inspired by G.I. Joe, is like one of my all-time favorite comics, and there's an issue where the Grim Reaper is holding a machine gun.
Yeah.
And that scene never happens in the comic book, but it's such an awesome image
Yeah.
that I was like, yeah, we talking to Mike, the artist of U.S. Assassin, we got to do something similar to this.
Yeah,
And I,
definitely.
yeah,
Yeah, that was really cool. But you are, let me pull up your campaign page here. You are doing this new book with a new team here. See if I can share the screen and kind of a co-writer, correct?
yeah, I'm working with my son Chase. This is our second book we've worked on. Our first book was the award-winning kids graphic novel Pizza Tree. Um, we did that 2 years ago. He got so wrapped up in the last Graveyard Shift campaign with how successful it was going. He
Yeah.
said he was like, Dad, we got to do something cool like Graveyard Shift. I'm tired of doing these kiddie books. so so I was like, yeah, we can do something, and we had the idea for SeaDog, and it just so happened while we were developing SeaDog, Clint Holinsky, the artist of our book, he approached me and was like, "Hey, Mark, would you be interested in working on something together?" I've known Clint for years. We both used to work for Arcana Studio. That's the company I got my start with in comics, and Clint did art on a lot of the books there. And I was like, "Yeah, I've always been a fan of your work." And he was like, "Oh, I love the '90s vibe you're doing with all your books."
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
so I pitched him SeaDog, and he was like, "Yeah, I really like the idea, but I have these group of characters. Do you think they would fit into it?" And that was Codename Killswitch. So I was like, "Yeah, they would fit perfectly." And we crafted up this story where they both come together.
Yeah, super cool.
So
I
it's
mean, yeah, and it oozes 90s, character, art style, uh, really loving it. And even this campaign page, if you guys definitely go check it out, it has little bios for these characters, which I love and something that I think I'm going to definitely do for my next campaign because it's kind of like a cast of multiple heroes. And so I think that's great to let your audience before they even dive into the book know a little bit of a
yeah,
backstory about these guys.
yeah. I wanted to make the fill the campaign page up with as much info as possible. The bios were Clint's idea, and I love it. I figure with a whole new team of heroes, the best way to give the backstory is with these like little classified it reminds me of the GI Joe character bios on the back of the packages.
Sure. Yeah, definitely. No, this is really really cool. So let's talk about you for a little bit.
Sure.
How did you get started into writing in general and then comics?
So I tried getting into comics like back in the '90s. Huge early Image fan. Uh, my buddies and I was fortunate enough to be friends with artists. We decided to like put our own book together.
Yeah,
It was called Holiday Commandos, and it was a superhero team with each character based on a different holiday. And
that's awesome.
we created this book, but back then, like the information, like how to get your comic book out there, it wasn't as easy as accessible as it is today.
Right.
So we had no idea what to do with it. So eventually, I just at the same time it was mid late '90s, and guys like Kevin Smith and Robert Rodriguez were making these independent films, and I was like, well, they make it seem so easy. They're putting out books telling you how to do it. This is where the information is. I'll just try to be a screenwriter, and I wrote a screenplay and I optioned it out in Hollywood. It was back during the big teen comedy craze. It was
Hmm.
called "Give Me Back My Stuff," and producer Zane Levitt optioned it, and he was famous for. He made the live action Fist of the North Star movie.
Oh
It's
wow.
not it's not a great movie, but I was like,
Yeah.
oh, he's a comics guy. He gets me.
Yeah.
And I optioned that. It was funny. It was around the same time as I just had started dating my wife. The poor woman thought I was going to be rich. The joke's on her.
Got
At
him.
least, yeah. At least I know she loves me for me and not
That's good.
for my money.
Yeah.
But that movie was in development for a couple years. It never got made, and I was a little disappointed by the whole process. But around that time, the information started coming out more with the internet and stuff on how you could get your comics made. And I just dove back into comic books and released my first book in the early two early to mid 2000s, Coney Waves, um,
Yeah.
for Arcana Studio. That's the company I was saying I got my start with.
Hmm.
Um, I did Coney for a few years, did a few like 3 volumes of it, did team ups with '90s bad girls like Demon Slayer and Evangeline. Um, and I just got noticed by my hero of all people, Rob Liefeld. Rob really liked what I was doing with Coney Waves and said he was thinking about bringing Evangeline back, and he wanted me to be the writer for it. And
Yeah. That's awesome.
the whole process for that was uh, was years. At one point, EJ, who's doing the Cyber Toad,
Yeah. Yeah.
Robo
EJ
Toad.
Morgus.
Yeah, he was
Mhm.
attached at one point to be the artist of the Evangeline series,
Oh
and it
wow.
just it just didn't work out. And I ended up doing the series with Owen Jenny, who's an awesome artist too. But that was like my first big break. Rob would give me other assignments. I got to work on a Brigade relaunch. I got to work on Image United of all books, which was awesome because just to be in a book with like all your heroes is
Yeah.
amazing.
I'm sure,
Um,
man. That's
yeah,
crazy.
I actually got to be in one of the books that actually came out. So because
Well,
the series was never finished.
that's good.
Um, and then from there, Rob was doing a lot of books at DC at the time. It's when they started the New 52,
Yeah.
and DC wanted him on more and more books, and he was like, "I can do it, but I need help." And they were like, "Who do you want to work with?" And he was like, "Well, I'd like to work with Mark on it on at least one of the books." So I got to do Savage Hawkman with him. Art T Bear was on the book with us.
Cool.
Artist Joe Bennett. So it was like a great team
Yeah.
to be a part of. Um, Rob started having some issues with the editorial team, and I don't know if you remember any of that, but he quit like midpoint in our storyline. So he was recently tweeting about like all the like the shenanigans going on
Yeah.
with DC. So I was stopped working at DC.
Yeah.
but uh, but after that, I just started concentrating on my own stuff. And all while this was going on, John and I were working on Graveyard Shift. Graveyard Shift was an idea I pitched to John back in 2010. I had just come off relaunching Brigade with Rob. I was feeling good about myself, and I knew John from Rob Liefeld's message boards because John did a lot of work early on with Rob. And I was like,
Yeah.
hey, I just relaunched this book. I had this idea though for the superhero team made up of the Universal monsters, and John was like, a lot of people want me to work on their books with them, but you're the first one who pitched monsters to me, so I'm in. so we were we were working on that, and I showed Rob Liefeld the early pages of it, and he flipped out for it, and he was going to set us up at Image, but then he decided to snag John to be the Youngblood artist for a relaunch. He asked for my blessing, and of course I wasn't gonna stop John from getting a good gig. So I let I gave my blessing, and John worked on Youngblood, and then in the spare time he worked on Graveyard Shift. But then John got hired to do I forget, Thunderbolts, I think, or no, New Warriors at Marvel, and he just kept getting more and more work. So it just kept getting delayed and delayed, and finally, I mean, it happened when it was meant to happen.
Definitely,
if it came out through Image, or if it came out earlier, it wouldn't have been as successful, I don't think.
Yeah, I think the Comicsgate and this movement is where that needed to be. It was out there, huge success, and it showed guys like me that this is possible. You could do this on your own, which is awesome. Because right now, and when you guys put that out, no one was doing that. And it's like you were part of the core team of making that happen.
So John had just like come off the success of Jawbreakers, and we had already had this. Basically, for the most part, the book was done. So it was nice to like follow up the success of Jawbreakers with here's this finished book. If you love John's work on Jawbreakers, here's even more of his great artwork.
Yeah, definitely. All right, we got Just a Rican and his comics in the chat. What's up, brother? You guys, if you guys love comic channels, go check out his channel. He does streams all the time talking about mainstream stuff, bringing on comic YouTubers. He's a great guy. So let's talk about SeaDog and Codename Killswitch. If you could kind of like pitch the book to the audience.
Sure. When a young meta is kidnapped by a group of superhuman traffickers, the government strike force known as Codename Killswitch, they try to recruit the world's greatest hero, SeaDog, to help them track her down. SeaDog is a little full of himself, considers himself a lone wolf, even though he's a dog. But he when his owner is kidnapped too by the traffickers, he agrees to join forces with them to hunt down the traffickers led by the evil villain Shikari.
That's so he has an owner?
Yeah, well, I mean, SeaDog was actually a dog, so
that's so cool. Yeah, I dig it.
So
like the character of him kind of reminds me of like a Tick-esque character, but taken more seriously.
Yeah, well, for him was like Pitt had the little boy with him, so I was, this is a 90s love letter, so I thought it'd be a nice balance. Even though he's like this badass superhero, he still has an owner.
That's so cool. Yeah, that's awesome. And like it's stuff with like that, he's a badass, but you could probably show some softer sides to him within that relationship and stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
I really dig that. And you got a super colorful cast of characters here.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to the colorist Andrew Dahlhaus. Andrew's coloring the Bloodshot series for Valiant right now, which I
Yeah.
think is one of the most beautiful books out on the stands right now. So like he totally gets what we're going for, the bright poppy colors of the 90s.
Hmm. Now, this is a obviously it has that team aspect to it. It's kind of a team book. Graveyard Shift is also a team book. As a writer, what are like kind of the challenges or the things that you enjoy writing a team book versus a solo hero book?
Well, I like the aspect of the variety,
Hmm.
different personalities. Graveyard Shift, even though it's a team, it's more of a grim, gritty. John likes to keep me grounded. John, I've heard him do several interviews where he says, "Thanks to me, Graveyard Shift has jetpacks because I get a little carried away with like the over the top stuff." So
Yeah.
with this cast of characters, I can go a little crazier. There's not so much. SeaDog's a little grim and gritty, but he's also a little uh, it's played up for the character. But all these other guys, they're all so different and unique. It's fun to balance them out. You can jump from like slapstick with a character like Crotch Rocket to to serious military type like Soldier 7. It's
Oh,
fun.
that's awesome. Yeah, no, it looks super fun. Um, And so you've done obviously you're working on Hawkman. I kind of got back into comics when the New 52 happened. It really pulled me back in. Um, now, were you just thrown on like you said Rob wanted you to work with you? Did he pick Hawkman? Was Hawkman assigned to you guys? Is that a character that you had to research? How did that work? Because I kind of
So,
thinking about the mainstream aspect when you're working with someone else's characters. How could that be different from working with your own
uh,
characters?
so Hawkman was one of the titles they gave to Rob. I'm not sure if Rob requested it or not, but he selected me for it,
Hmm.
which worked out perfectly. One of the very first Comic Con I went to, the very first sketch I got was from Steve Leiber, who was the artist of Hawkman at the time, which was one of my favorite books. So it was like it's almost a little bit of fate that one of my first convention experiences involves Hawkman. Now I get to write the book.
That's cool.
Um, I didn't have to do too much research. I was familiar with the character, collected the comics, but I did dive into uh, Tim Truman's Hawk World, just because I thought that was like the essential Hawkman book of its time. I wanted to like just read it. We were diving into Hawkman's origin, so if I could just glean a little off Tim Truman, I wanted to try my best.
That's cool. Yeah. And how is that aspect different from working with, from coming from the mainstream, working with other people's characters, and then going and doing your independent thing again?
Well, doing my own thing. Just well, I had the experience of working for Rob on Evangeline, and Rob's like the best boss to work for because he's just hands off and lets the creators create. And
That's cool.
I would I would like send him emails and tell him what I was doing, and I
Hmm.
wouldn't hear back from him. So I would just take that as I'm going to go ahead and do it, and it's easier to
Yeah.
uh, apologize than to keep asking for
Yeah.
permission. And he never
Sure.
had any issues with anything I did. Going over to DC, um, editorial constantly had their hands in things. Not so much with Hawkman, but Rob was having issues on the other books he was doing. He was doing Grifter. He was doing Deathstroke. Um,
Mhm.
and he finally had enough of their their getting involved. Oh,
Yeah.
one aspect of Hawkman, we were supposed to have this giant intergalactic crossover. Hawkman reaching, you know, crossing over with all the other like alien books. It was Grifter because they had said that he was Alien Superman was going to be involved. The Kyle Rayner Green Lantern book at the time. Red Hood in the Outlaws, because Starfire was part
Starfire,
of it. And Rob pitched it. They loved it. They gave us the go ahead, and then at the last minute, they yanked all the characters and said Green Arrow could be in it. And like he didn't even have any alien aspect to him.
It's weird.
Yeah, so that was like the beginning of the end for us. So
Yeah.
it's refreshing to like right after that, I dove into my own stuff. I worked with my son. We did Pizza Tree, and it was just him, me, and an artist, Ryan Onorado. So we just got to do whatever we want. Graveyard Shift, same thing. John will put his foot down sometimes, like if I get a little too crazy.
Yeah.
He loves to bring up, there was originally a werewolf on the team who was wagging his tongue in an opening scene, and that quickly got cut out. but
What?
That's our, yeah.
How ironic! Now he's got the
Oh yeah,
Malin
yeah.
wolf pack.
Yep.
The irony. Yeah.
Yeah, the fans will be happy for volume 2 when they get it.
Yes, I saw there's a big wolf. One
Yep.
of the that looked really cool.
Yeah.
That seems so much fun to write. And I assume when you're writing your scripts, because I'm a writer and always love to learn how other people write stuff. And, John is a huge advocate. He's always saying, leave minimal panels on the page so the artists could do their big shots. He's always talking about Jim Lee doing Hush. Everything was a splash panel. How do you feel about working with artists, and do you feel like you could, like, just using the giving them room and stuff like that?
Yeah,
what's your writing process like?
I'm a big advocate of letting the art tell this story.
Mm-hmm.
I try to I feel bad when I have 5 panels. I try never to do more than 5 panels, but ideally 3 pages. I love splash pages. I love double page splashes. So anytime I can incorporate them into a script, I will. And it's like, I love the idea of true collaboration. I love if an artist, he doesn't have to stick to my script. If he has a good idea and it's going to be visually awesome, go for it. Mike McMahon, we're working on US Assassin 2 right now. He was like, hey, instead of this, can I cut the panels down and do this double page splash? And I was like, as long as the page count works for the double page splash, go for it.
Yeah.
I'm willing to pay a little bit extra more if we have extra pages for the printing, if the book looks incredible. I can't get into a book that doesn't have awesome artwork, so I want my artists to go crazy.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, and something I'm learning as I'm going, because my earlier scripts, I was tending to do more panels, and then now I'm doing less, and it's, I think, reading better and just working with the artist in the collaboration aspect of it it's even more fun for me, and to see what's going on the page. So anyone that is writing, definitely pay attention to that and listen to John. John's always right. So so let's go through your the coach definitely knows. Let's go through your tiers here. I love this featured perk. Definitely gonna end up getting that one. The Malin Militia is your featured tier.
Yeah, John's been good to me. Good friend, good collaborator. He agreed to do a variant cover for us. So for $75, you get the regular cover, you get the variant cover by John. You also get our $50 tier, which includes an ash can to volume 2 and a trading card set. We just had a contest where we hired our trading card artist.
Cool.
We paid him a good rate to draw all 7 of our trading cards. Deadline, the contest ended. We picked our winner. We haven't announced it yet. We want him to get some cards finished first before we announce them, so we can show off his awesome artwork.
Yeah, definitely. All right, we got this $25 tier, and that
Yeah,
is
this
just a
is
book.
your. Yep. Signed by me for now. Chase, he really wants to sign them, but I don't know about a 9-year-old how many books he can sign, but
Sitting them down,
hopefully,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Bulldog, 2 copies. Always need those for the collectors.
Yep.
It's
Anyone
always
who wants
good.
to try to flip one on eBay, I know
Definitely.
some people have made a mint with Graveyard Shift.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And this is the $50 tier you're talking about, right?
Yep. So that's $50 is the graphic novel with the regular cover, and then the ash can and the 7-card trading set.
Now, what's in the ash can? Did you say already?
It's a preview of volume 2.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, that's always good to put on your page that you have, an indication that you want to continue the series. This isn't just a one shot, so people have something to look forward to in the future. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love the characters. I'd love to do as much as possible.
Yeah. The German Shepherd tier. So you get a everything plus a head sketch of a random character, I assume.
Yep. One of the characters from our cast.
Awesome. Cool, cool, cool. And then the last one, 250 Dogs of War. Oh yeah, I remember you talking about this on the other stream we were on. The hockey jersey.
Yeah, I really want to. I hope someone gets it. I think I'm going to just order some jerseys for me and Chase just so I can show them off.
Oh yeah, sure.
They look awesome. I've shared the mock up on Twitter and Facebook. But
Cool. Yeah,
I always loved Todd McFarlane. He's a guy that like early on he had that Spawn hockey jersey, and I was like, oh, that's so cool. Rob Liefeld had the extreme varsity jackets. So I wanted to do something cool like that for SeaDog.
no, yeah, I don't remember if I talked about this when we were on the Red Gaze show, but we
Hmm.
did for our campaign for Magic Hop, we had a $300 tier, and it was 80s windbreakers that are going to have the Magic Hop logo on the back. It's going to have your name embroidered on the front, and they were for our executive producer tier. So you get
Oh,
your
that's
name
awesome.
as an executive producer in the book, and those got bought up really quick. So we only think we did 2 of them.
Oh,
So
that's
yeah,
great.
just keeping that theme going with it, and it was exactly like this throwback to those extreme
Yeah.
jackets because those are
So
super cool.
yeah, and one thing with the hockey jersey, you can get it customized with your name and number on the back, whatever number you want, whatever your name you want, within reason.
Yeah,
I don't think the company wants to do anything
yeah.
too extreme, but
Hmm.
yeah, we'll see what we can get away with.
That is awesome, man. Yeah, let's. I wanted to talk about a little bit about some of these these crazy cast here, like
Yeah.
Rocket. What can you tell me about this character? He looks really
So he
insane.
so he's from the future. He has a motorcycle. Uh, his crotch rocket that appears out of portals whenever he needs it.
That's cool. That's awesome. And what about Neon? This chick. She's
Ne-
my favorite.
yeah, Neon is our young meta that gets kidnapped.
Oh
She's the
no.
one that brings the team together with SeaDog.
That's great. And what are her powers?
She can control light structures. She can make them bend them to her will. Do whatever
Really
to
cool.
use them.
That's awesome. This is your like Conan character you're talking about?
Yeah, Stormborn. Yeah, I think he was more inspired by He-Man.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, he even
Gotcha.
has like the little chest
Yeah, the
harness. Like,
cross on the chest. That's cool.
yeah,
And
yeah.
what are Tundra's powers?
Tundra's he's basically like a living mountain, but he's also the smartest guy on the team.
That's right.
It makes his experiments a little hard to work on, so he always needs help. Doesn't
That's
have the most
awesome.
delicate hands for his experiments.
Hey, El Guapo Comics is in the chat. What's up, El Guapo? Thanks for joining us. I saw
Oh,
he
hey
just
Caesar,
Yeah, Caesar just launched like
the
10K
Red 10.
10 yeah, and it's only for 10 days, man. I got to jump on that. It looks awesome. I saw him
Yeah,
months ago drawing that character. I'm like, this, what is it, the oxymoron character? I think
yeah.
that's
I
the
backed
villain's
the
name.
first one. I actually had a chance to work on. They put out an oxymoron anthology years ago, and I got to work on it. So
Oh,
yeah,
that's cool.
I'm happy for El Guapo.
Yeah, hello, guapo. Thanks for tuning in, buddy. Um, yeah, guys, so definitely check this out. If you guys are a fan of the 90s image craze, you'll love these characters, the art style, and it just looks like a fun team book. Like you said, Graveyard Shift is more grim. It's more grounded, even though it's like very supernaturally. But this one is bright colored. This is your superhero team that you're looking for. If you love and grew up in the '90s with those comics. So
Yeah, I tell people these guys should have had their own toy line and cartoon series in the '90s. That they would have been perfect for it.
yeah, one of those Image Comics failed cartoon series like
Yeah,
like
Young
Youngblood.
Blood. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, check it out. They have a trailer too, which shows off a lot of the arts. Mark's in there. I just watched that earlier. And if you don't mind, Mark, wanted to show off a little update for Magic Cop, and then we'll get out of here.
Oh, sure. Yeah, go
Cool.
for it.
Let's see. I think I have it up here. Maybe I don't. I'll just look it up. Magic Cop. So we did just pass 100 backers, I think, last week. So that was a big stretch goal for us getting there. We even made it kind of like a backer goal. So once we reached 100, we have a little gift for everybody, kind of a thank you card. And that comes in the form of uh, this little postcard from the city. My brother and I came up with the idea of sending everybody postcards from Ambrosia City with the detectives on it. If you guys don't know, if you haven't checked out my channel, I do updates every week on it, every Monday. So it's basically a mash between Miami Vice and Halloween Town, monsters and magic coming together in that 80s retro vibe. And then the next thing we want to do once we reach 150 backers, I think we're at like 103 right now, that we're going to give away the MP3 of the Magic Cop theme song that we had made for the trailer. So definitely spread the word. The track was made by Vasto Vlad. He does awesome synthwave stuff, and it's very, very heavily inspired by Miami Vice. So check it out, guys. We are at $5,216, and we're gonna leave it open in demand for a little while. I think this week we will be done with the second chapter. It's 88 pages, basically 4 issues contained in a trade, and the second chapter will be fully inked and off to the colorist by the end of this week. So we're making good pace on it. It's set to fulfill on time, so we're really excited.
That's awesome, man. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, man. And yeah, everybody check out SeaDog and Codename Killswitch. Mark, where could people find you on social media?
On Twitter and Instagram, at Coney Waves, the name of my first comic book series. And I'm also over on Facebook as Mark Poulton. So there's a couple other Mark Poultons, but just look for
Imposter.
SeaDog.
Yeah, I'm glad that you're getting out there and getting on streams and stuff like that, because through the whole, you're basically faceless to the
Yeah.
community during the whole graveyard shift, both of them, because I heard you had some internet issues. But it is good to
Yeah.
have you here and see you on streams.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate you having me. Let me get my name out there.
Yeah, no problem. And thanks to everyone for joining us. If you guys are new to the channel, hit the subscribe button, hit that like button. And we do these every week with a new creator, usually on Wednesdays. So hit that bell for notifications so you know that we are live. And we will see you guys next time. Thank you for tuning in and watching. Have a good night.